I started this whole thing as I started playing music as a Sublime fan. My whole life, grew up worshiping Sublime. And it's like, I get to this point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna do my own music thing. And I'm gonna move out of my house and I'm gonna move down to LA and I'm gonna make something of myself. And then I get introduced to the members of Sublime. Well, really, I just met Eric. But Eric championed for me and took me all over Long Beach. Introduced me to Bud. Took me to his house. It's beautiful. And here we are. It's an honor. Crazy how I came to be performing with Sublime. I was just living out of my van and just playing acoustic shows by the beach, and I was living in LA at the time, and I would go back and forth to Orange County, and I met Eric at a studio, and Eric, the bass player at Sublime, and we just started hanging out. We started jamming, and he always throws the raddest parties, and I go down to his parties, and a couple of times he asked me if I wanted to play a Sublime song with him at his parties. And I was like, hell yeah, man, let's do it. And it was just a lot of fun, it was really organic, and I felt like I was just hanging out with like a rock star that I grew up with. So I was just texting my friends dude, this is so sick. And then, one day he asked me, he was just would you be interested in singing for Sublime? If I talk to Bud and we jam and we work it out, would that be something that you'd be interested in doing? And I mean, it was just such an honor to even be asked that. But I had to take a second and just kind of be like, is this even real, Because I knew that it was two different roads. It's one of those moments in your life where you realize you're like, oh, this is one of those pivotal moments, depending on how you, what you choose to do. And I just thought about how beautiful it would be to, be able to perform my favorite songs, especially growing up as a kid. This music was the most important to me. And, just how rad that adventure would be. So I said, heck yeah. And from there, Eric took me over to Bud's house in Nevada, and we started jamming and running through the songs, and it felt right. And I mean, it must have, they wanted to continue it, and we played Smoke Out, and that was just crazy because that was the very first real public big performance that we did, and it was just really emotional for everyone. But it's just such an honor to be even invited to be able to do that,
Sometimes I wanna feel the waves. I wanna feel the waves now. Go somewhere far on holiday. Go somewhere far. I got these voices in my head, and they won't leave me alone.
Before that Smoke Out was crazy. There was more people backstage than there was out in the audience, I swear, I'm convinced. I mean, I had all my family, I had my whole block that I grew up on. They were there supporting. Obviously, Bud and Eric, they had all Long Beach back there. Troy was back there, Brad's widow. I mean, it was just packed. It was packed, and then Bad Brains, and all the bands backstage, Cypress, and it was just such a beautiful moment. The guys hadn't been together playing music on stage in close to 10 years at that point. So it was really special. It was really emotional. And I remember before we went on, Bud pulled me into the bathroom in the dressing room and was just like, let's smoke this joint. And he was just like, you're gonna kill it, just relax. I probably looked really nervous, but yeah, man, it was just a really, really special night, and I'll always cherish that memory forever. I remember when Eric and Bud wanted to get in the studio and make new music. That was a huge deal for me. I'd never been into a world-class studio of that caliber before. We recorded the first album at Sonic Ranch in El Paso, Texas. I love that studio. That's a studio that I've to this day still, record albums, whether they're for, my projects or for other projects that I'm recording for other artists. But I try and go there. It's a wonderful place. But yeah, so when I first got there, man, I was just like so blown away by just how beautiful it was and this opportunity that I'm like, getting to record music with these guys that I grew up with on my wall, being out there with Bud and Eric and Todd Foreman. It was just like a dream come true, I never thought in a million years I'd be in the studio with Sublime, with like, the rhythm section of my favorite band of all time. It was an honor, an absolute honor. And man, I was nervous as all hell. I was so nervous. I just know that, we had a handful of songs that we had kind of put together. And then we went out there to kind of just jam and just get whatever else we could, on wax and see how that vibed out. And it was awesome. We started to just put all these songs together, and it all just started to, kind of fall into place. And I remember there was a time where, we were kind of like, dang, we got to put some more songs on the album. And I think it was like Bud was just like, some of the songs that you already have are like awesome. Like we should put them on the album. So some of those songs were already kind of written. Songs like Take It or Leave It, You Better Listen, PCH. Those were like ones that I already kind of wrote previously, to being invited to sing and play with Sublime. So that was a really full circle moment for me. 'Cause Take It or Leave It, that song, like the majority of it originated in me writing it like in my bedroom. So that's real full circle for me. And, it's just moments like that I'll never forget.